I'm going to tell you something that will make you angry. The reason you're broke in 2026 isn't because rent is high. It isn't because groceries cost more. It isn't because wages haven't kept up with inflation. Those things are true, but they're not why you're broke. You're broke because you're bleeding money on things you don't need, don't use, and wouldn't miss if they disappeared tomorrow. And the worst part? You know it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But you keep doing it anyway because everyone else is doing it and you think you deserve it. I've been investing for over 70 years. I've watched fortunes built and destroyed. I've seen people making $500,000 a year go bankrupt. I've seen janitors retire as millionaires. The difference wasn't intelligence. It wasn't luck. It was 5 simple habits. Habits so simple that when I tell people about them, they get angry at me for wasting their time. But here's the arithmetic. These 5 habits will save you between $2,000 and $5,000 every single month. That's $24,000 to $60,000 per year. That's a new car every year, except you're flushing it down the toilet on things you can't even remember buying. In 2026, the average American household is spending $73,000 per year. But they're only making $67,000. They're going backwards by $6,000 annually and wondering why they feel stressed. That is insanity. Hit the like button if you want to know where your money is actually going and how to stop the bleeding. I only share this with people who are ready to look in the mirror and admit they've been stupid with money. Before we get into this, do me a favor. Drop a comment right now and tell me where you're watching from. I want to know who's here, city, state, country. Just let me know. Here is why smart people stay broke in 2026. Most people think saving money requires living like a monk or making 6 figures. That is nonsense. Saving money is actually incredibly simple, but it is not easy. The truth is this: you are making dozens of small decisions every single day that are destroying your financial future, and you don't even see them because everyone around you is making the same decisions. You don't need to be smart. You don't need to understand the stock market. You just need to stop doing 5 stupid things that are costing you thousands every month. If you are looking for a way to maintain your current lifestyle and magically save money, you will likely find yourself working at 75 with nothing. I'll show you 5 simple habits that separate people who retire comfortably from people who die broke. Habits that anyone can follow, but most won't, because they require saying no when everyone else is saying yes. The first habit is the hardest because it exposes a truth you don't want to face. Let's start. Rule number 1, kill the monthly subscription bleeding. The average American in 2026 has 18 active subscriptions. They use 6 of them. They're spending $847 per month. That's $10,164 per year on recurring charges they've forgotten about or won't cancel because it's only $9.99. That phrase has destroyed more wealth than any market crash in history. Let me tell you about a man named Marcus, orthopedic surgeon in Dallas, Texas, making $680,000 a year in 2023. Smart guy. Saves lives. Completely broke. Marcus came to one of our shareholder meetings. He said, "Mr. Buffett, I don't understand. I make good money. I'm not buying Ferraris, but I never have anything saved. Where is my money going?" I said, "Show me your bank statement." He pulls out his phone. I start reading the recurring charges: Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Hulu, Apple TV Plus, Paramount Plus, Peacock. That's 7 streaming services. $94 per month just on TV. He doesn't have time to watch because he's working 60-hour weeks. Then Spotify Premium, YouTube Premium, Amazon Prime, Audible, Scribd, Apple Music for his wife, even though they have Spotify. That's 6 music and audio subscriptions, 70元 per month. Then the real bleeding starts. Peloton membership, $44 per month. Hasn't used the bike in 7 months. LA Fitness membership, $89 per month. Goes maybe twice a month. That's $44.50 per workout. A Blue Apron meal kit subscription, $120 per week, $480 per month. Says he doesn't have time to grocery shop, even though he's paying someone else to shop for him and ship him ingredients he could buy himself for $180. A wine club, $150 per month. A coffee subscription delivering beans he could buy at Costco for 1/3 the price. A subscription razor service, even though he has a full beard. His wife uses it sometimes. That's $35 per month for razors his wife uses 3 times. Then the tech stuff. 3 different cloud storage services because he forgot he was paying for the first 2 when he signed up for the third. $47 per month. A meditation app he opened twice. A language learning app for Spanish. He's been learning Spanish for 4 years and can't order food in Spanish. 2 different password managers. A VPN he doesn't understand but read he should have. LinkedIn Premium because someone told him it would help his career, even though he's a surgeon with a full patient load and isn't looking for a job. Grammarly Premium, even though Microsoft Word has spell check. And here's my favorite. He's paying $29 per month for an app that tracks his subscriptions and promises to save him money by canceling things he doesn't use. The app hasn't canceled anything in 11 months. I added it up right there on my phone. $1,247 per month. $14,964 per year on subscriptions. He looked at the number and said, "That can't be right." I said, "It's right. You're spending almost $15,000 a year on services you don't use to make your life convenient. You're a surgeon. You're supposed to be good at diagnosis. You just diagnosed your own financial bleeding." He said, "But I use most of those things." I said, "No, you pay for most of those things. That is not the same as using them. When was the last time you watched Peacock?" He couldn't remember. "When was the last time you used your Peloton?" 7 months. "When was the last time you opened Scribd?" He didn't know what Scribd was. "You're paying $10.99 a month for it." Here's the problem. Marcus isn't unusual. He's normal. In 2026, the subscription economy has trained people to bleed money in $9.99 increments. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts, except each cut costs $12.99 and automatically renews. Here's the second problem. Companies designed it this way. They make it easy to subscribe with one click. They make it annoying to cancel. You have to call during business hours or navigate through 6 pages or wait 30 days, or they offer you 3 free months if you stay. They count on you forgetting. They count on you feeling like $12.99 isn't worth the hassle of canceling. They count on you thinking it's only $12.99. They're farming you. The third problem is worse. These subscriptions aren't making your life better. They're making it more complicated. Marcus had 7 streaming services and spent 45 minutes every night deciding what to watch before falling asleep during the second episode of something he'd forget about by morning. He had a Peloton membership, but was gaining weight because meal kits aren't portion controlled for someone eating hospital cafeteria lunches. He had a meditation app, but was stressed because he felt guilty about not using the meditation app. Let me show you what this cost Marcus over 20 years. He kept those subscriptions from age 40 to age 60. $1,247 per month is $14,964 per year. Over 20 years, that's $299,280 spent on subscriptions. But here's the real cost. If Marcus had taken that $1,247 per month and invested it in an S&P 500 index fund averaging 10% annual return, do you know what he'd have at age 60? $949,438, almost $1 million, just from canceling subscriptions he didn't use. Marcus had 7 streaming services when one would do. Had 2 password managers when one is sufficient. He had a gym membership he didn't use and a Peloton membership he didn't use when he could have just gone for a run outside for free. At age 62, Marcus is still working. He can't retire. He makes $680,000 a year and has $340,000 saved. He needs $3 million to retire the way he wants. He won't make it. He'll work until 68, maybe 70. He had nothing extra because he bled $1,247 every single month on convenience he didn't need. That is the trap. Now let me tell you about a woman named Sarah. She worked in medical billing at the same hospital as Marcus. She made $52,000 per year. Sarah had Netflix, 1 streaming service. She had Spotify, 1 music service. She had Amazon Prime because she actually used the shipping. That's it. 3 subscriptions, $37 per month. She went to Planet Fitness, $10 per month. She didn't have meal kits. She cooked on Sundays for the week. She didn't have a wine club. She bought wine when she wanted wine. She didn't have a coffee subscription. She bought beans at Costco once a month for $15. Sarah saved the difference between what Marcus spent and what she spent, $1,210 per month. She invested it in index funds from age 40 to age 60. At 60, Sarah had $921,000. She retired. Marcus is still working, same hospital, same 20 years. She made $52,000 per year. He made $680,000 per year. She retired as a millionaire. He's still working. The difference wasn't income. The difference was that Sarah understood something Marcus didn't. Convenience is expensive, and most convenience isn't convenient. It's just expensive. Here is the arithmetic. If you have $847 per month in subscriptions, the average American in 2026, and you cut them to $200 per month by keeping only what you actually use, you save $647 per month. That's $7,764 per year. Over 30 years, invested at 10% annual return, that becomes $1,394,419. Same time period, different discipline. You don't need to live like a monk. You need to be honest about what you use. If you watch Netflix every night, keep Netflix. If you haven't opened HBO Max in 3 months, cancel it. If you have a Peloton membership and ride 5 times a week, keep it. If you haven't ridden in 7 months, cancel it and go for a walk outside for free. The principle is simple. Every dollar you spend on something you don't use is a dollar that can't compound for your future. You cannot compound zero. And when you're spending $847 per month on subscriptions you don't use, you're compounding zero while convincing yourself you're living a convenient life. But you can destroy this first habit with one thing: eating out. Rule number 2. Stop destroying wealth $47 at a time. In 2026, the average American household spends $412 per week eating out. That's $1,648 per month. That's $19,776 per year. On food, they could make it home for $4,800. They're spending $15,000 more than they need to on food every single year, and they wonder why they're broke. Let me tell you about a couple I'll call Jennifer and Michael. Both worked in tech in Austin, Texas. Combined income of $340,000 per year in 2022. Smart people, good jobs, living paycheck to paycheck. They came to me at a conference. Well, they came to a Q&A session. Jennifer said, "We make good money. We live in a normal house. We don't take expensive vacations. But we never have anything saved. What are we doing wrong?" I said, "How often do you eat out?" She said, "Not that much. Maybe a few times a week." I said, "Show me your credit card statement." She pulls it up. I start counting. Monday dinner, Chipotle, $27. Tuesday lunch, Jennifer, sweet green, $18. Tuesday dinner, Michael, client dinner, $94. Wednesday lunch, Michael, food truck, $16. Wednesday dinner, takeout Thai, $63. Thursday lunch, Jennifer, sushi, $31. Thursday dinner, pizza delivery, $45. Friday lunch, both at work, Panera Catering, $0. But they bought drinks and snacks, $12. Friday dinner, date night, Italian restaurant, $127. Saturday brunch, mimosas and avocado toast, $68. Saturday dinner, steakhouse, $156. Sunday brunch, friends visiting, nice place, $94. Sunday dinner, too tired to cook, Uber Eats, $52, 1 week. $803 on food outside their home. That's $3,212 per month. $38,544 per year. I said, "You just told me you eat out a few times a week. You ate out 18 times in 7 days. She said, "But we're busy. We both work. We don't have time to cook." Here's the problem. Jennifer and Michael weren't unusual. They're normal for high-income professionals in 2026. They've been trained to believe that cooking is something poor people do because they have to, and eating out is something successful people do because they can. That is backward. Wealthy people cook. Poor people eat out. I know that sounds wrong, but look at the data. Households making over $150,000 spend more on restaurants than any other income bracket. But households worth over $5 million cook at home more often than any other wealth bracket. You know why? Because people who become wealthy understand that eating out is the single fastest way to destroy wealth in small increments that don't feel significant. $47 for Thai food doesn't feel significant. $27 for Chipotle doesn't feel significant. $18 for a sweet green salad doesn't feel significant. But $3,212 per month is very significant. Here's the second problem. Jennifer and Michael weren't eating out because the food was better. They were eating out because they were tired and didn't want to think about what to make. That's not a food decision. That's an energy management decision. They were spending $38,000 per year because they were too tired to spend 30 minutes cooking. The third problem, they thought they were saving time, but they weren't. Ordering food on Uber Eats takes 10 minutes of browsing. Waiting for delivery takes 35 to 50 minutes. That's 45 to 60 minutes total. You can cook pasta, chicken, and vegetables in 25 minutes. They weren't saving time. They were wasting money while waiting for food. Let me show you what this cost Jennifer and Michael. From age 35 to age 55, they spent $3,212 per month eating out. That's $38,544 per year. Over 20 years, that's $770,880 spent on restaurants. If they had cooked at home, spending $800 per month on groceries instead, they would have spent $192,000 over 20 years. The difference, $578,880. If they had invested that difference, $2,412 per month, in index funds at 10% annual return, do you know what they'd have at age 55? $1,838,291. Almost $2 million just from cooking at home. At age 57, Jennifer and Michael are still working. They have $890,000 saved. They need $4 million to retire the way they want. They won't make it. They'll work until 68, maybe 70, maybe longer. They ate their retirement $47 at a time. Now let me tell you about a man named Robert. He worked in the same tech company as Michael. Same age, same income level. $170,000 per year. Robert cooked. He made a big pot of chili on Sunday that lasted 4 dinners. He made chicken and rice that lasted 3 lunches. He grilled on Wednesday evenings. He kept it simple. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated. Protein, vegetables, carbs. He ate out on Friday nights with his wife. 1 nice dinner per week. $80 per week. $320 per month. He spent $800 per month on groceries plus $320 eating out. Total food cost, $1,120 per month. Michael and Jennifer spent $3,212 per month. Robert spent $1,120 per month. The difference, $2,092 per month. Robert invested that difference from age 35 to 55. At 55, Robert had $1,593,000 from that habit alone. He retired at 58. Michael and Jennifer are still working. Same company, same income level, same 20 years. Robert retired. They're still working. The difference wasn't willpower. The difference was that Robert understood something they didn't. Restaurants are selling convenience, not food. And if you're paying $18 for a salad you could make for $4, you're not buying food. You're buying permission to not think about food. That permission costs $1.8 million over 20 years. Here is the arithmetic. The average American household in 2026 spends $1,648 per month eating out. If you cut that to $400 per month, one nice dinner per week, plus 2 casual lunches, you save $1,248 per month. That's $14,976 per year. Over 30 years, invested at 10% annual return, that becomes $2,697,920. Same time period, different discipline. You don't need to never eat out. You need to stop using restaurants as a solution to being tired. If you're eating out more than 4 times per week, you're not enjoying restaurants. You're avoiding your kitchen. And that avoidance costs $2.7 million over 30 years. The principle is simple. Every meal you eat out is a meal you're choosing to spend 3 to 4 times more than necessary. 4 times per week is fine. 18 times per week is financial suicide. But you can maintain both habits, low subscriptions and cooking at home, and still destroy wealth with one thing: financing things that lose value. Rule number 3, if it depreciates, don't finance it. In 2026, the average American has $34,500 in non-mortgage debt. Car loans, credit cards, personal loans, buy now, pay later plans, payment plans for phones, furniture, appliances, TVs, mattresses, even gym equipment. They're paying interest to own things that lose value. That is insanity. Let me tell you about a man named Brandon, sales manager in Phoenix, Arizona, making $125,000 per year in 2021. He came to a shareholder meeting and asked me about investing. I said, "How much debt do you have?" He said, "Just normal stuff. Car payment, some credit cards." I said, "How much?" He said, $52,000. I said, "You shouldn't be asking me about investing. You should be asking me how to stop bleeding money on interest." Here's what Brandon had: a truck, Ford F-150, $68,000 purchase price. He put $5,000 down, financed $63,000 at 6.9% interest for 72 months. Monthly payment, $1,089. Total cost over 6 years, $78,408. He bought that truck because I need it for work, even though he worked in an office and drove to client meetings in the city. He didn't need a truck. He wanted a truck. But need sounds better than want when you're justifying a $1,089 monthly payment. He had a boat, $32,000 purchase price, financed 100% at 8.5% interest for 10 years. Monthly payment, $395. Total cost over 10 years, $47,400. He used the boat 11 times in 3 years. That's $4,309 per boat trip. He had credit card debt, $18,000 at 22.9% interest, paying $400 per month. At that rate, it would take him 7 years to pay off and cost him $33,600 total. He had financed furniture, $8,000 at 0% interest for 24 months. Sounds good, right? 0%? Except the term said, if you don't pay it off in exactly 24 months, they charge you back interest at 28.99% from the purchase date. Brandon was on month 23 and didn't have the $2,000 left to pay it off. He was going to get hit with $5,500 in retroactive interest. Total monthly payments, $1,884. Total debt, $52,000. Total, he'll actually pay $94,908. I said, "You're paying $42,908 in interest to own things that lose value. Your truck is worth $48,000 today. You've already lost $20,000 in value and still owe $52,000. Your boat is worth $19,000. You've lost $13,000 and still owe $29,000. You're underwater on everything." He said, "But everyone finances cars." I said, "Everyone stays broke." Here's the problem. Brandon thought financing was normal because everyone does it. The car salesman told him it's only $1,089 per month. The furniture store told him it's 0% interest for 24 months. The credit card company told him you have $18,000 in available credit. They made it sound like he was being responsible. He was being farmed. Here's the second problem. Brandon had payments, not assets. Payments feel like progress. You're building equity. You're investing in quality. But you're not. You're paying interest to own things that lose value from the moment you sign the paperwork. A car loses 20% of its value the instant you drive it off the lot. Then it loses 15% per year for the next 4 years. If you finance a $68,000 truck, it's worth $54,400 after 1 day. After 1 year, it's worth $46,240. After 4 years, it's worth $28,426. You've paid $52,272 in payments and interest, and you own something worth $28,426. You've lost $23,846 in 4 years. That's $6,000 per year, $500 per month, just on value loss. But wait, you also paid $4,272 in interest during those 4 years. Total cost, $28,118. You paid $28,118 to lose $39,574 in value. That is the trap. Here's the third problem. Brandon justified every purchase. The truck was for work. The boat was for family time, even though his family went on it twice. The furniture was an investment in our home, even though furniture loses 50% of its value immediately and 90% of its value in 5 years. Let me show you what this cost Brandon over 20 years. From age 35 to 55, he always had a car payment, always had credit card debt, always had some payment plan for something. Average monthly payments, $1,884. That's $22,608 per year. Over 20 years, $452,160 spent on payments and interest for depreciating assets. If Brandon had bought used cars with cash, spending $15,000 every 6 years instead of $68,000 every 6 years, and never financed anything that loses value, he would have spent $120,000 on cars and $0 on everything else. Total, $120,000. The difference, $332,160. If he had invested that difference, $1,384 per month, at 10% annual return, do you know what he'd have at age 55? $1,054,000. $1 million. Just from not financing things that lose value. At age 57, Brandon is still working. He has $210,000 saved. He's still making payments. Different truck now, different boat, different furniture, but always payments. He'll work until 70 if he's lucky. Now let me tell you about a woman named Lisa. She worked in HR at the same company as Brandon. She made $95,000 per year. Lisa drove a 2016 Honda Accord. She bought used for $14,000 cash in 2019. She drove it for 8 years. No payment, just insurance, gas, and maintenance. She didn't have a boat. She didn't finance furniture. She didn't carry credit card debt. When she wanted something expensive, she saved for it first. And by the time she had the money saved, she usually realized she didn't actually want it. She invested the difference, $1,884 per month that Brandon spent on payments. Lisa invested in index funds. At 55, Lisa had $1,432,000 from that habit alone. She retired at 59. Brandon is still working. Same company, same 20 years. She made less than him. She retired as a millionaire. He's still making payments. The difference wasn't income. The difference was that Lisa understood something Brandon didn't. Debt is a tool, not a lifestyle. Debt for appreciating assets, a house, education, a business, can make sense. Debt for depreciating assets is financial suicide. Here is the arithmetic. If you have $1,884 per month in payments for depreciating assets, cars, furniture, credit cards, payment plans, and you eliminate them by buying used with cash and not buying things you can't afford, you save $1,884 per month. That's $22,608 per year. Over 30 years, invested at 10% annual return, that becomes $4,278,763. Same time period, different discipline. You don't need to drive a 1997 Corolla. You need to stop financing things that lose value the moment you buy them. If you can't afford to buy it with cash, you can't afford it. If it loses value over time and you're paying interest on it, you're paying someone else to make you poorer. The principle is simple. Debt should make you wealthier, not poorer. If you're paying interest to own something that's worth less every month, you're choosing to be poor. But even if you have no subscriptions, cook at home, and never finance depreciating assets, you can still destroy wealth with one behavior: lifestyle. Inflation. Rule number 4. Your income can rise. Your lifestyle can't. This is the rule that destroys high-income people. You get a raise. You immediately increase your spending to match it. You make $60,000. You spend $58,000. You get promoted. Now you make $90,000. You spend $88,000. You get promoted again. Now you make $140,000. You spend $138,000. Your income rises, your savings rate stays the same, and you end up exactly where you started, broke, just with nicer things. Let me tell you about a woman named Dr. Patricia Lawson, cardiologist in Miami. She started at $220,000 per year as an attending in 2010. By 2020, she was making $485,000 per year. 10 years. Her income more than doubled. I met her at a medical conference where I was speaking. She asked me about investing during the Q&A. I gave her my standard answer: index funds, long time horizon. Don't do anything stupid. She came up afterward and said, "I do that, but I still don't have much saved." I said, "How much is not much?" She said, $340,000. I did the math in my head. 10 years. Average income probably around $350,000. If she'd saved just 20% per year, she should have $700,000 minimum, probably closer to $900,000 with compounding. I said, "What happened?" She said, "I don't know. I make good money." I said, "Show me how you live now versus when you started." When she started at $220,000, she lived in a one-bedroom apartment, $1,800 per month. She drove a 2008 Camry she'd had since residency. She ate lunch at the hospital cafeteria. She took one vacation per year to visit her parents. Total annual spending, about $75,000. She saved $145,000 per year. By year 10, at $485,000. She lived in a 3-bedroom condo, $6,200 per month. She drove a BMW X5, $1,150 per month lease. Her daughter was in private school, $32,000 per year. She had a nanny 3 days a week, $18,000 per year. She took 3 vacations per year to decompress from the stress. Turks and Caicos, Aspen, Europe, $40,000 per year. She ate lunch out every day because the cafeteria was depressing. $15 per day, $3,900 per year. She had a cleaning service twice a week, $800 per month. She belonged to a country club she used 4 times a year, $18,000 per year in dues. Total annual spending, $397,000. She saved $88,000 per year. Her income went up $265,000. Her spending went up $322,000. She was saving less in dollar terms at $485,000 than she did at $220,000. I said, "You make more than twice what you made 10 years ago, but you're going backwards." She said, "But I deserve it. I work 70 hours a week. I save lives. I should be able to enjoy my income." I said, "You can enjoy your income, but you're not enjoying it. You're spending it to cope with the stress of earning it. That's not enjoyment. That's a hamster wheel." Here's the problem. Dr. Lawson thought she was being responsible. She wasn't buying Ferraris or yachts. She was spending money on things that seemed reasonable for someone making $485,000 per year. Private school, a nice condo, a reliable car, a cleaning service so she could focus on her career, vacations to recover from the stress. Every single expense made sense in isolation, but together they consumed her entire income increase and then some. Here's the second problem. Every time her income went up, her peer group changed. When she made $220,000, her friends were other young doctors with student loans. They lived in apartments. They drove Camrys. When she made $485,000, her friends were established doctors and hospital administrators. They lived in houses. They drove German cars. They sent their kids to private school. She felt poor around them, even though she was making $500,000 per year. Lifestyle inflation isn't about what you need. It's about what people around you have. The third problem, every increase in spending was permanent. The private school wasn't just for kindergarten. Now her daughter is in 4th grade, and switching to public school would disrupt her education. The BMW wasn't just for a few years. She's on her 2nd lease. The country club wasn't just to try it out. She'd be quitting if she left. The condo wasn't just temporary. She'd be downgrading if she moved. Every increase in spending became an identity. She wasn't a doctor who lives in an apartment. She was a successful cardiologist who lives in a beautiful condo. Let me show you what this cost Dr. Lawson. If she had kept her lifestyle at $100,000 per year when she started, a reasonable upgrade from $75,000 but well below her income, and invested the rest, here's what she'd have. Year 1, income $220,000, spending $100,000, saved $120,000, year 2 to 5. Income average $280,000, saved $180,000 per year, year 6 to 10. Income average $410,000, saved $310,000 per year. Total saved over 10 years, $2,070,000. With 10% compounding, approximately $2,850,000. Instead, she has $340,000. She's short $2,510,000 because every time her income went up, her spending went up faster. At 47, Dr. Lawson will work until 65 minimum, maybe 70. She makes $485,000 per year and can't afford to retire. Now let me tell you about a man named Dr. Raymond Chen, radiologist at the same hospital. Started the same year, made slightly less, $200,000 starting, $420,000 by year 10. Dr. Chen lived in the same apartment from year 1 to year 6, $1,800 per month. He upgraded to a 2-bedroom condo in year 7 when his first child was born, $2,600 per month. He still lives there in year 15. He drove the same Camry from residency until year 8. Then he bought a used Lexus ES for $28,000 cash. He still drives it. His kids go to public school. Good public school. He bought the condo specifically in that district, but public school. Cost $0. He has no nanny, no cleaning service, no country club membership. He takes one vacation per year with his family. He eats lunch at the hospital cafeteria. His lifestyle cost in year 1, $70,000. His lifestyle cost in year 10, $95,000. His income went up $220,000. His spending went up $25,000. He invested the difference. Every raise, every bonus, 90% of it went straight to investments. At year 10, Dr. Chen had $2,650,000. At 47, he could retire if he wanted. He won't. He likes his job. But he could. Same hospital, same starting year. He made less than Dr. Lawson. He's a multimillionaire. She's still stressed about money. The difference wasn't income. The difference was that Dr. Chen understood something Dr. Lawson didn't. Lifestyle inflation is optional. Your income can rise. Your lifestyle doesn't have to. Here is the arithmetic. If you make $100,000 and spend $95,000, you save $5,000 per year. If you get a $50,000 raise and keep spending $95,000, you save $55,000. Continue 9:39 a.m. per year. That's 11 times more savings from one raise. Over 20 years, the person who keeps their lifestyle flat and saves every raise will have millions. The person who increases their spending with every raise will have nothing. Same income increases. Different discipline. The principle is simple. Live like you're still making your first year's salary. Every dollar of every raise goes to savings and investments. Your lifestyle is fixed. your wealth compounds. But even if you follow all 4 rules, no subscriptions, cook at home, don't finance depreciating assets, keep your lifestyle flat, you can still fail if you violate the 5th rule. This is the hardest rule for modern people because it requires you to do nothing. Rule number 5, do nothing and get rich. This is the rule nobody wants to follow because doing nothing feels like losing. You watch the market go up 15% and think you should do something. You watch the market go down 20% and think you should do something. You read about someone who made 400% on a tech stock and think you should do something. You should do nothing. Let me tell you about 2 men. We'll call them James and Robert, brothers. Both started investing in 2000 at age 30. Both invested $1,500 per month in the S&P 500. James was active. He read the news. He watched CNBC. He had opinions. When the market crashed in 2001 to 2002, he sold everything in March 2002. The tech bubble is bursting. I'm getting out before I lose everything. He sold at an average of minus 35% loss. He waited on the sidelines for 2 years, waiting for the right time to get back in. He got back in 2004 when things felt safer. In 2008, the financial crisis hit. He sold everything in October 2008. The banks are failing. This could be another Great Depression. He sold at an average of minus 42% loss. He waited on the sidelines for 3 years. Got back in 2011 when things felt safer. In 2020, COVID hit. He sold everything in March 2020. The economy is shutting down. This could take years to recover. He sold at an average of minus 31% loss. He got back in December 2020 when the vaccine news came out and things felt safer. By 2024, James had invested $1,500 per month for 24 years. $432,000 total invested. His account was worth $520,000. He made $88,000 in 24 years. That's a 0.8% annual return. Robert was boring. He invested $1,500 per month every single month from 2000 to 2024. He didn't watch CNBC. He didn't read the news. He didn't have opinions. When the market crashed in 2002, he kept investing. When the market crashed in 2008, he kept investing. When the market crashed in 2020, he kept investing. He did nothing. By 2024, Robert had invested the same $432,000. His account was worth $1,340,000. He made $908,000 in 24 years. That's a 10.2% annual return. Same brothers, same starting point, same amount invested. Robert has $820,000 more than James. The difference? James did something. Robert did nothing. Here's the problem. James thought he was being smart. He was protecting his money. He was avoiding losses. He was waiting for the right time. But every time he sold, he locked in losses. And every time he waited, he missed the recovery. The 10 best days in the S&P 500 from 2000 to 2024 were all within 2 weeks of the 10 worst days. If you sold during the bad days, you missed the good days. If you missed the 10 best days over 24 years, your return went from 10.2% to 3.1%. If you missed the 20 best days, your return went from 10.2% to 0.9%. James missed them all. He was on the sidelines during every recovery. Here's the second problem. Doing something feels responsible. Doing nothing feels lazy. When the market drops 30%, sitting there watching your account value fall feels like malpractice. You should do something. Everyone on TV is doing something. Your brother-in-law is doing something. Your financial advisor is calling you, recommending you do something. But doing nothing is the right answer. The third problem, James thought he could time the market. He thought he'd sell high and buy low. He'd protect his gains and avoid the crashes. But nobody can time the market. Not professionals, not algorithms, not you. Every study shows that people who try to time the market underperform people who do nothing. Let me show you what this cost James over 24 years. He invested $432,000 and ended with $520,000. If he had simply done nothing, just invested $1,500 per month and never touched it, he'd have $1,340,000. He cost himself $820,000 by being active. At 54, James is still working. He needs $2 million to retire comfortably. He won't make it. He'll work until 68, maybe 70. Robert retired at 62. He did nothing and got rich. Here is the arithmetic. From 1926 to 2024, the S&P 500 averaged 10.2% annual return. If you invested $1,000 per month for 30 years and did nothing, you'd have $2,260,000. If you tried to time the market and missed just the 10 best days over those 30 years, you'd have $1,140,000. Half as much. If you tried to time the market and missed the 30 best days, you'd have $660,000. Less than a third. Same starting point. Different discipline. The principle is simple. The market rewards doing nothing. It punishes doing something. Every time you sell, you're betting that you're smarter than the market. You're not. Nobody is. The people who get rich are the people who invest consistently and do absolutely nothing. Let me tell you about someone who taught me these principles. My mentor, Benjamin Graham. He wrote a book called The Intelligent Investor in 1949. In that book, he said something I never forgot. The investor's chief problem, and even his worst enemy, is likely to be himself. Graham was talking about this exact thing. Smart people destroying themselves by being active, by trying to be clever, by thinking they can time markets or justify expenses or deserve luxury because they work hard. Graham lived through the Great Depression. He lost almost everything in the 1929 crash. Then he spent the next 40 years teaching people how to not lose everything. His rules were simple. Buy quality assets at fair prices. Hold them forever. Do nothing. I followed his rules. I'm worth billions. I got there by doing nothing better than anyone else. Let me make this simple. Here are the 5 rules. Rule 1. Kill the monthly subscriptions. You're bleeding $847 per month on things you don't use. Cancel everything except what you used in the last 30 days. Save $10,000 plus per year. Rule 2. Stop eating out 18 times per week. Cook at home. Eat out once or twice per week maximum. Save $24,000 plus per year. Rule 3. If it depreciates, don't finance it. Buy used cars with cash. Don't finance furniture, boats, toys. Save $22,000 plus per year in payments and interest. Rule 4. Your income can rise, your lifestyle can't. Keep your expenses flat. Every raise goes to investments. Save 50 to 70% of every increase. Rule 5. Do nothing and get rich. Invest in index funds. Hold forever. Don't sell during crashes. Don't try to time markets. Do nothing. These are not complicated rules, but almost nobody follows them. You know why? Because following them requires saying no to things everyone else is saying yes to. It requires driving a used Camry when your colleagues drive BMWs. It requires cooking on Tuesday night when everyone else is ordering Uber Eats. It requires sitting on your investments when everyone else is panicking and selling. It requires being comfortable, being different. Here's your challenge. Look at your subscriptions right now, not later, right now. Cancel everything you haven't used in 30 days. Look at your bank statement. Count how many times you ate out last week. Cut it in half. Look at your debt. Make a plan to eliminate every loan for something that loses value. Look at your last raise. Where did it go? Make sure the next one goes to investments. Do not wait. Do not make excuses. Start today, because every day you delay is a day of compounding you lose forever. I'm 94 years old. I've been doing this for 70 years. I'm telling you this because these rules work. They worked in 1950. They worked in 1990. They work in 2026. They'll work in 2050. The economy changes. Technology changes. Human behavior doesn't change. The formula is right here. Cancel subscriptions. Cook at home. Don't finance depreciating assets. Keep your lifestyle flat. Do nothing with your investments. Follow those rules for 30 years and you will retire a multimillionaire. Ignore them and you will work until you die. Your choice. Now, if you want more brutal honesty about building wealth, timeless principles that actually work instead of get-rich-quick garbage, subscribe to this channel. We don't promise easy. We don't promise fast. We promise truth.